better. And then the movement part of the Tom thing is the where they think their shoulder is, like, well, what else has to move their shoulder forwards and backwards. You can observe other things, you know, like their breathing. Now remember, the next thing is that you're going to, the person sitting, having observed, trying to, you know, in a way you're kind of like this detective work. You're trying to get inside their head, right, about what they think forward, shoulder and back is, how that executes. And now you're going to put one hand on and gather more information from your hand. So you've, up till now it's just been visual. Now you're going to add in touch and your movement. So how do you experience physically their movement? Oh yes, so leg in front, if that's comfortable. Just because it will mean you're more stable, well, overstable actually, and it means that the shoulder, you'll feel there's a difference between having one leg on top of the other versus one in front. It will change the movement. You can change hands, you can change position of your hands, because remember, you're just gathering data, you're gathering information. You're not, you know, judging it or anything. It's just, do I feel what I see, right? And this is our territory, you know, this multimodal way of exploring. We see, we're hearing, we're feeling. And we're not just feeling, you know, from a touch point of view, but we're feeling through our own movement. And this is why you have to do so many ATMs, because if you're not good at feeling your own movements, you can't feel anybody else's movement. Sorry for the reality check. And of course, you know, it's a conceit. We say putting your hand on like you're going along for the ride as if it doesn't do anything. Well, the person, I'm sure you all got the feedback. Putting your hand on somebody going along for the ride is enormously influential. But I guess what we're saying in going along for the ride is that the influence is up to the person, that they will accept the influence, because you don't have any will in it. And you can do two hands, use two hands when that feels useful. Oh, and remember the the person on the floor now is going to start pulsing their hand. Forgot. Okay, you thought I was going to forget and you weren't going to remind me. So start quacking those ducks. Okay, now are you able to now slide into influencing? So remember you've been going along for the ride? And how do you adapt your own organisation so that you're in a position to be able to influence? So you're sliding from, you know, kind of passively going along to now actually exerting a benevolent force. And can you exert a benevolent force more effectively going forward or coming back? What does that tell you about your organisation? Benevolent force, yeah. I've moved from being a benevolent dictator to being a benevolent force, like gravity.
You are now spreading.
Yeah, spreading banality. And are you using your hands very locally? Are you using your hands to spread their attention or their timing? Are you using your hands to influence their orientation? These questions and more. Sure. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
I can change my touch.
Yep.
So that I can feel the back of the floor.
Yep. Scapula. Yep. Yep.
And
you could influence the direction. So I've forgotten your name from Sydney. Sue, that's right. Because you're my, right. We can call her Sue, but not me. Yeah, because she gets cross. So Sue, I don't know, I didn't see Sue do it before, but you know, maybe her forward has a little bit of up, so you could show to her forward can also be forward, or forward can be down. And you know, it's not in a corrective way, it's just you go along and say, this is forward like this is forward like this is forward like that. You can use your hands, and that's changing the orientation of the movement, right? You can change. You're right. We tend not to be too fussed about the range. We tend to be more fussed about the ease of motion within the range that they choose. If someone's going really far, like too far, we often use our hands to go less, to show them where quality is. Occasionally someone will be moving so small that often what we're thinking of doing more is increasing the movement in other areas, you know, and that would be, so Sue knows that her head has to turn, yes. So she's getting the turn here. There's not, maybe she doesn't need to move here, but maybe, you know, your hands might just show her that there is a little bit of here, you know. She's got her sternum moving already, those sorts of things. So it can be, you know, or you might be, I mean, you know, this is getting a little bit too pedantic, but sometimes we use our hands to hold something, so we just really differentiate that from that. But that's getting a bit sophisticated. So, You know, we use our hands for lots of things. Just think about changing the timing, changing the direction, changing where the movement's happening for this. Okay, and if you haven't tried influencing the timing, try that. If you haven't tried influencing the orientation of the movement, so the direction, try that. If you haven't tried influencing other areas that could participate or not participate in the move, try that. If I'm speaking too quickly, listen harder. No, that's just a joke. Just make it up. And if you really are getting sick of the hand pulsing thing, you can leave it. But remember, the person sitting behind was noticing the difference between when the hand could keep opening and closing and when it stopped. And I would say for most of you, it stopped because I'd forgotten about it as well. And then when you're satisfied with your influence, you can take your hands off and just observe them doing it again. And what's the influence of your influence? That's very good. So because we're having a meeting, we'll have an hour and a half lunch, or not, just an hour. We'll be right for an hour and a quarter. Okay, right, so we'll finish at 1:45. Yeah. 1 to 2. So 1:45 to 2 o'clock. Yep, okay, good. All right, so when you've sat back, surveyed your work, so to speak, share in that nice Box Hill rules fashion. Feedback, you know, the way you nicely comment on each other's